This is Texans TV.
Coming up, we go one-on-one with a special teams standout and have a conversation for change with a very powerful voice. That's next on Texans 360.
We are ready to rock in Houston. Rock and roll, touchdown, Texans. What an effort by Fuller!
A hearty hello there, friends, and welcome into Texans 360, your 360-degree look at everything going on in the world of your favorite football team. My name's Drew Dougherty. I'm your host, and we've got another fun show for you this week because we're going to look ahead to Week 2 when Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens come to town. Plus, we're going one-on-one with the guy who's led the Texans special teams in tackles in each of the last 2 seasons. That's A.J. Moore. And we got to see how great a route runner Will Fuller is. We're talking about that speed out on the edge. But we start things out with conversations for change. The McNair family continuing to sit down with leaders in the community who've shared their experiences about their past. This one is a whopper. Roynell Young, who in the early 80s was a first-round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles and then spent 9 seasons with that team, including one in which he was a Pro Bowler. Well, he hung it up. He came back to Houston and in 1990 started the ProVision Academy. ProVision has made a profound impact for the better on the city of Houston and the surrounding communities. And today, we take a look and hear about his life.
Well, Coach, thank you for visiting with us. It's a rainy day outside, but it's a sunny day in here to be in here with you, and we appreciate that.
It's a privilege and honor that we are sitting here today. I had that same privilege to sit with your father. It was one of the highlights to be able to sit and share with him what we were attempting to do here at ProVision. When I go back and I look all the way back, I was affected when I was 11. You know, I was born into this world with baby boy Joyce and Wallace Young. The second birth occurred when I realized who I was and what I was put here to do. It hit home to me on Soldier Field, the infamous Fog Bowl. I participated in that game. And at the end of the game, normally it doesn't affect you because you have adrenaline flowing through. But that particular game, the elements affected me. I said, man, it's cold and wet out here. And I had a notion, and I didn't tell anyone, but I said, I don't think I'll be doing this anymore. I don't like doing this. And I never forget the great late Bill Walsh. Went out for a tryout, and I knew I wasn't what I was in the past. And I was doing one-on-ones, and I remember Jerry Rice standing in the back. He wouldn't get it live. He wanted to see if I was still the same, and I was dragging my leg. And I never forget after that tryout, the great Bill Walsh said, Roynell, I really admired watching you, and you had. When he said had passed it exploded in my head. It's like, you had a great career. And that stuck with me. Came back to Houston, started a life along the way. Met this gentleman who became the co-founder of ProVision, Mike Anderson. He was a salesman, I was a salesman. We tried to sell each other, and we didn't.
Really?
But we decided, and we found out that we had a similar concern, and that concern was a concern for young men in this city, in particular, African-American young men. Some of the things we saw troubled us. We both originally came from those environments and wanted to see if we could be of service to connect with kids and see if what was actually going on and how could we be of service. And so we drove in this community and communities like this all over Houston and decided that, man, there's some troubling things that's happening in the city. And didn't feel like it was anyone on the guard post. We talked to several churches. We talked to other community leaders and decided that, you know what, we're not going to complain. We're not going to point fingers, but we need to start something ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that was the genesis of Provision. One day, behind Welch Middle School on Gessner and West Belford, we would go over there every Saturday and brainstorm. Kind of just bounce the basketball and, kick around ideas. One Saturday, I guess we stayed on the court too long because the kids had awakened and they started coming out, and these 3 kids came on the court. And this man, hey, get out this court. This is our court. What you doing on, like, who you think you are? You on our court. Go ahead, old school. They were calling us old school. Get off the court. And it dawned on me. I said, this may be the opportunity we've been asking for. I said, guys, if you are that good, and I'm sure you are, you wouldn't mind indulging 2 old men. And there was 3 of them. And the co-founder of Provision, my buddy Mike Anderson, he was about 6'10". Oh. Out of shape, but 6'10". Of course, I was recently had left the NFL, so I was full of energy. And so I said, I tell you what, guys, you see the pizza place on the corner? 2 out of 3. If we win, give us 2 hours just to talk. All we want to do is talk. If we lose, we will buy all the soda and pizza that you can eat on this day.
All you can eat.
All you can eat on this day. Not any other day, on this day. We won those 2 games out of 3, and we told the guys, don't be sore losers. We'll still buy soda and pizza.
Nice.
And the 2-hour conversation turned into a 4-hour conversation, and of course, many kids had glazed over, but they were eating pizza, so they stayed. And we were finished. We got off our soapbox. Hey, that's it. We solved the world problem. Didn't have a plan, an idea, a clue. Didn't know anything. What we discovered, though, and looking back, relationship was established. And so one of the young men stood up. He said, hey, old school, will you guys be back next week?
Really?
We hadn't even thought that far. I said, yeah, count on it. We'll be out here at 8 o'clock. You guys be here. You guys gonna buy some more pizza? I said, yeah, we'll buy the pizza. So we showed up the next week, and it was 12 boys. Wow. Not 3, it was 12. After 6 months, that 12 grew to 300 plus boys.
Wow.
And so I went into the gym one day, and I said, hey guys, huddle up, some good news and bad news for you. For some of you who are convinced that there's some NBA scouts somewhere hiding in the rafters and you're gonna be the next Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan, I don't ever want to see you in this gym again. But for some of you who have been thinking about some of the things we've been talking about doing something meaningful with your life, making your life count, I know you're in the minority, but I want you to follow me across the street after the game, because I want to talk to you about how we can make that happen. So I walked across the street to that storefront, and I started negotiating with God, because, I figured God needed my help, because, of course, I was the great and almighty myself. And I told God, I said, hey, God, you know what? Out of 300, I'm saying this inside my head, out of 300, if it's 150, I know it's a confirmation from you. You want this to happen. But I was negotiating with God. So the closer I got, it started at 150.
Where did it go?
And I said, the closer I got, it went down to 100, then it was 75. And I said, hey, you know what, God, if it's 50 kids, then I know it's a confirmation from you. Put the key in the door, open the latch, turned around, and it was 70 plus boys. That was the start of Provision.
If you want to see more on that, just go to HoustonTexans.com and the Houston Texans mobile app. We have more conversations for change. After the break, we got to check out a little bit of speed with Will Fuller. That's what sets him apart, but what makes him great is his route running. We'll explain here on Texans 360. Nobody's done the deep ball like Will Fuller over the last few years with Deshaun Watson, and the wide receiver is fast. This is Drew Dougherty here on Texans 360, but speed is not the only component of Fuller's game. He's an excellent route runner, and he can do all the different levels of routes. He can go deep, he can go intermediate, he can do the short stuff. John Harris explains why he's such a good route runner in this week's version of the Telestrator.
Welcome to Texans Telestrator, presented by BMW. I am John Harris. Got my trusty telestrating tools, got my Surface. I am all ready to go. And we're going to talk about Will Fuller. Now, we all have seen Will make tremendous plays over the years. Deep routes, Seattle in 2017 going deep. Miami in 2018 going deep. We saw him in this particular game against the Indianapolis Colts on a Thursday night in 2019 go deep. But all that does, obviously, provide some big play. But all it does really is scare defensive backs. And you're going to see how that manifests itself in a pretty simple 7-yard gain. The Texans were sitting here on a 2nd and 10 situation. They had got a nice little drive going, and they were looking to take the lead in this game. And anytime, as a play caller, as an offense, whatever, you can just steal 7 yards just by utilizing an asset against the defense. And in fact, you're not even going to use that asset against the defense, but the fear of it, you're going to take advantage, especially for a guy like Will Fuller. Deshaun Watson was asked, how does the offense change when Will Fuller's in the lineup when he's not? And he said, it doesn't change for us. It changes for the defense. And here's a great example of that. You can see in this set that the Colts want to come and hug up at the line of scrimmage here, but they're going to play off Fuller here. 8 yards of distance. This is Marvell Tell, the rookie out of USC. One of the better athletes actually on the Colts roster and in the AFC South. This guy has got like a 40-inch vertical leap. He runs in the 4.3 range. Now, nobody runs like Will, but Marvell Tell can run. But in this situation right here, there's that fear of, man, he can just run right by me. So I'm going to make sure he doesn't. But because of that, it allows Will to make this read, run the speed out here, and just pick up 7 yards, setting up a very simple 3rd down, or in this case, a play that they were going to score a touchdown on a little bit after this. So you're going to watch this play and go, well, wait a second, John, that looks pretty easy, right? You just kind of turn out and there you go, right? Well, that's kind of the point. It should look easy. You want it to look easy. And it is easy because of Will Fuller out here and that speed, and because Tell has to respect it. So, 2nd and 8 play, like I said, 2nd and 10. 2nd and 8 play, you're going to steal 7 yards here just with a speed out, and you have that because of Will. So, as Will comes off the line of scrimmage, Tell's got to backpedal and go, oh, now he doesn't turn, and he starts breaking forward because Will breaks out pretty quickly. But that's okay, because Will's just got to get to a spot where he can create a throwing lane for Deshaun Watson here. And look at that. That's huge separation. Now, Will usually gets that separation down the field. But because teams have to respect that speed, they play off him a significant amount of time and with a significant amount of space. That's what they do here. They hook up. Will takes a little bit of a shot, but you can see where the ref comes in. And she's going to spot the ball a yard short. It's going to set up a 3rd down. But that's all it is. Teams have got to back off of Will, and it just gives Deshaun time to throw. He doesn't have to be perfect with that throw, but now you set up 3rd and 1. How much better is a 3rd and 1 than 3rd and 8? That 3rd and 1 you're able to pick up because you got the 7 yards on 2nd down with that throw to Will Fuller. Respect the speed. Speed does kill, as it did for Cliff Branch at the Raiders many, many years ago, and it does for Will Fuller. But if you use it the right way as he does, get himself open for key catches like this that set up big plays down the road.
After the break, catching up with the special teams tackles leader in 2018 and 2019. AJ Moore on Texans 360 is next. Special teams, the focus on this segment of Texans 360. We thank you for watching. Drew Dougherty, your host, and all the specialists are coming back. Long snapper John Weeks, kicker Kaimi Fairbairn, punter Brian Anger, and DeAndre Carter, the punt and kickoff returner, all under contract as of this offseason. But the guy who's led the team in coverage tackles on special teams the last 2 seasons, AJ Moore. And it's no coincidence that the Texans have been outstanding in that regard the last 2 campaigns. There's going to be changes, though. Special teams coordinator Brad Seeley has recently retired, and that is a big hit, according to Moore. However, the players make plays, and they're the ones that are going to be out there on the field, and A.J. Moore talked a little bit more about special teams for the Texans this season.
Trying to get the Ravens on the board. No, they'll fake it. Mark Andrews cannot get to the line to gain. A.J. Moore Jr. makes sure of it.
Well, it's always fun to check out and talk with this guy, A.J. Moore, a safety, a special teams standout for the Houston Texans. A.J., what has been that biggest challenge on the physical side of things as far as getting ready for football, whenever that does resume?
That's an easy one for me because the toughest thing for me has been when do I need to turn it up a notch? Not knowing when exactly we're going to go back to playing. There's a certain way that people train, and for me and my bros, we like to start to turn it up a notch going into when we know we're about to play and get back started, but we have no idea. So it's definitely been tough. So right now you're trying to keep it at an average pace and not overwork your body so you're not so fatigued when training camp starts. The virtual meetings were so very beneficial, not only just focusing on plays, but it was a great thing for us to get a chance to get a feel for our new teammates, just be able to build chemistry, you know what I'm saying? So we got a lot done. And with the circumstances that we were given, I don't think we could have did anything better than that. So I definitely feel like we took full advantage with those meetings.
We heard from Michael Thomas a few weeks back, and he's one of the best special teams players in the NFL over the last decade. He's really excited, he said, to be playing with you and to be joining a squad like the one you guys have had the last 2 years. How cool is it seeing guys like him and some of the others that the Texans have signed this offseason coming to help bolster the strength of this strong unit?
In regards to Mike, speaking to Mike, the feeling is very mutual. I'm very excited and, ready to get out there on the field with him. But, man, it's going to be fun. With a great veteran like that coming in, he's going to be able to help us a lot just with him being so experienced and being in, like you said, being the top special team player for a whole decade. So I feel like he's going to help us a lot.
Well, AJ, man, this has always been a fun conversation. I really do appreciate the time. Be safe over the next few months, and we can't wait to see you guys back in the building, back on the field for the Texans, and you take care, all right?
Yes, sir. You too.
In week 2, the Texans will see the MVP and the Baltimore Ravens. A performance report is coming up on Texans 360. Over a week after the Texans will open the 2020 regular season on the road on Thursday Night Football against the defending champions in Kansas City, they come home to face the MVP in Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. That's the home opener for Houston. That's quite a challenge. And our very own John Harris breaks it all down in this week's Performance Report.
It's time for the Performance Report, brought to you by Hyundai. I'm John Harris, and it's time to dive in to the 2020 Baltimore Ravens. The AFC North champion, 14-2 Ravens from 2019 will be stepping into NRG Stadium for the home opener of the 2020 season. And it doesn't get any more difficult than starting the year with the Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs, up in Kansas City, and then Baltimore, the 14-2 Ravens from 2019. It's a team that's pretty similar to what it was in 2019, as they'll be led by league MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson. And how special was he in 2019? MVP did it both through the air, throwing for over 3,000 yards, rushing for over 1,000. He was outstanding until Saturday night, divisional round of the playoffs against the Tennessee Titans. Some of the cracks in the Ravens' offensive armor started to show up that night, and the Ravens held to 12 points by the Titans. Maybe there's hope there that the 2020 Ravens will not be at the level that they were in 2019, but it's still a pretty solid unit. And they've also added J.K. Dobbins, the 2,000-yard rusher from Ohio State, has been added to Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. Might be the best four-back combination in the NFL. But offensively, a massive piece stepped away and retired. Guard Marshall Yanda in 5 years will be going to the Hall of Fame. That is a huge void on the offensive line that the Ravens are gonna have to answer. Their two tackles, Ronnie Stanley and Orlando Zeus Brown Jr., two of the best in the league. On the interior, maybe some question marks. Defensively, the Ravens got a little older, but they added a little bit more experience, bringing in Calais Campbell in a trade with Jacksonville and signing Derek Wolfe as a free agent. They will step in that defensive front that has one of the best secondaries in the entire NFL. Marcus Peters traded to the Ravens midseason last year. The secondary was outstanding once Chuck Clark got inserted at safety. Linebackers, that's where they've got a hole. They're going to have to rely on a couple of rookies, Malik Harrison and first-rounder Patrick Queen. Could be where the Ravens' Achilles heel on defense lies. Week 2, home opener. The Baltimore Ravens come to town. Lamar v. Deshaun, Ravens v. Texans. That is your performance report for the Baltimore Ravens.
That will do it for this week's show. We sure do appreciate you watching, and we want to make sure that you check things out on HoustonTexans.com, the Houston Texans mobile app. Even get your QR code going with your scanner on your phone and learn more about your favorite football team. For the guys and gals that put this show together, like Tyler Marcotte, Tyler Suddarth, Nicholas Patterson, Jay McDevitt, and the rest, my name's Drew Dougherty. We will see you next week. And remember, go Texans. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.